Hey guys, how you doing? Bill here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to properly clean up your computer. But first, before we get started, you're going to need to get a program called CCleaner. I'll put a download in the description, a direct download link to the description, so you can go ahead and get this program downloaded. It looks just like this. It's 100% free. Sadly, it doesn't do all of the work for you. There is some work that you need to do yourself. If it did all the work, I'd probably be out of a job by now since it's free. But it does cover a lot of bases that you would normally have to do manually. So go ahead and get that program installed, and we're going to come back to it. Because this video isn't just about cleaning up the computer, it's also about preventing you from needing it to be clean. And I'm going to show you a very good example real quick here. Here's the download website looks for CCleaner, but I'm going to go ahead and switch over to this. This is something called SoftSonic. SoftSonic is notorious for people that end up trying to find other programs, and a lot of browser hijackers, which is a form of a virus, leads you to these SoftSonic downloads. You can download tons of external things and other third-party programs that are nowhere near close to what you wanted. So if I close this out, you'll see start, download, and download. And a lot of times, you know, it's hard even for me. There's another one down here. Is there any more? There's another download down here. Get this free stuff. You know, there's so many things on the screen. And there's a lot of people out there that just like to click, 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 and they end up downloading something. So I'm just gonna go ahead. Just to show you how ridiculous some of these things can be. Let me go back here before we hit the download button, and it actually says safe download. And I mean, whether or not it is a secure download and whether or not it is a safe download, which I've never believed it to be. Maybe that specific download is safe, and that's where, you know, a little bit of false advertising and legal options come into play, where that specific download is safe, but then they have tons of other downloads and things here that aren't safe, or that take over your computer, or that do things that you don't want to be happening. Just like when we hit download, here, it didn't even start a download, just brought us to a completely different site. And this is where some people would get frustrated and like, oh look, free download, start download, start download. And this is where we go through and we start clicking on things, and then you just start downloading unnecessary products that are completely unrelated to what you were looking for. And SoftSonic is just one of the, and here it opened up a second link on a tab that it says Buy Office 365. But that's just an example. SoftSonic is just one of the examples of the type of websites and type of downloads that you want to ignore and stay away from when you're trying to download things that are what you're looking for and they end up not being what you want. So that's just one example. There's thousands out there, maybe even more than that at this day and age of things that show up on your computer and things that you try to download off the internet. But now we're going to go ahead and get into the actual cleaning process. So we're going to go back to CCleaner. I still have it open down here. And we're going to go straight. We're going to ignore the cleaner. We're going to ignore the registry. And we're going to go straight to the tools that are on the left here. So just go ahead and left-click Tools. And you're going to get a nice big list of all the programs you have on your computer. If it's not a big list, great. The process for cleaning might be a lot simpler. Or in a retrospect could be a lot more complicated if you have an underlying issue, and that might be the reason why you don't see any programs here. But if you see some programs here, and don't be alarmed, for some of you this might take a few minutes, especially on lower end machines. Processing some of this information might not be as rapid as it looks on my screen. You might have to wait a few minutes in some cases, so don't be alarmed if it doesn't pop up right away. But once it does pop up, this is where a lot of people might give up, and they're like, this is a lot of stuff. I don't know what's going on here. You know, I don't want to start deleting things that are important. And this is where I'm going to try and give you a little bit of information. The only reason I've been doing this long enough to where I can recognize many programs. You know, I've worked on thousands of computers probably at this point. I can recognize many programs as being unuseful to my clientele, or useful to my clientele, or useful and unuseful to the computer, or primary or required for the computer. But a really quick way to help you sort through this is go up, I'm going to blow this up just so you can see it better, but go up to the top where you have Programs to Remove, Publisher, Install Date, Size, and Version, and go ahead and actually click on Publisher. Now what that's going to do is it's going to alphabetically organize all of the developers and publishers for the programs here. And real quick, a nice rule of thumb is you don't want to delete any Microsoft Corporation programs. There are some on here that you can delete, like there's OneNote. If you don't use OneNote, you can delete Paint. You can delete alarms and clock, you can delete camera, you can delete photos, but you need other programs to replace those. So you don't have to worry if you do accidentally delete those. There are ways of getting them back, and there are ways of downloading third-party programs to replace them, which a lot of people do. So don't be worried if you delete stuff like that. But primarily you don't want to delete Microsoft Corporation files. And the next thing you don't want to delete is, see where it says NVIDIA Corporation here? This is one nice example. NVIDIA Corporation, this is my video drivers. So this is what controls the quality of what I see on my computer screen. That's just one of them though. There's you have NVIDIA, and then you have AMD, and then you have Intel HD. So Intel HD is usually integrated. What does that mean? What that means is that the graphics card is built onto the motherboard, and this is something you would only see in the device manager, so you don't have to worry about accidentally deleting that. You probably won't even see that in this programs list. But the one that you will see in this programs list is like AMD and AMD Catalyst and AMD video drivers. So you don't want to delete any NVIDIA or any AMD products from your program list, because usually they're essential to what you're doing, or essential to your computer in general for visually what you're doing. But bottom line, and then once you realize what you don't want to install, then you want to go through and establish a list of programs that you still use and a list of programs that you don't use. And you want to delete the things you don't use. And a nice way of doing that, so you don't have to go click on the highlight the program and go up here and hit uninstall, is you can just find what you don't want. Let's see, there's something on here I can get rid of real quick. Let's see here. Well, I don't play any Xbox things on here anymore. Let's go ahead and get rid of the alarms and clock. I've never used that program. So let's go ahead and right click that and hit uninstall. Go ahead and hit OK, and it's gone. It's that simple for as far as removing the program. So this is where you're doing your own due diligence here, and you have to read and go through and see what you don't use anymore, or things that you might have accidentally installed through platforms like SoftSonic, and go ahead and just delete that stuff. But we all know that that stuff isn't actually deleted, but we're going to get to that more towards the end of the video, and I'll tell you how to actually get rid of all of those things that you think are deleted but really aren't. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and minimize this for now, and we're going to come back to it later. Because we are not finished with that program. It is very useful. But what we're going to do is now we're going to go down here where it says type here to search, and we're going to type in File Explorer. So once you have that typed in, go ahead and hit enter, or you can go up and click on it. It's going to look just like that. And you're going to come to a screen that looks just like this, and we're going to go to the left here and hit this PC. Then you're going to go to local disk. Now, if you've had the computer pre-configured professionally, or if you've just been set up defaultly or out of the factory, it'll be local disk C or OS C. But bottom line, it's probably more than likely going to have the letter C, and it's more than likely going to say local disk. So you're going to go to this here, and you're going to see program files and program files 86. You're going to have a lot of other folders in here, but we're just going to be working with these two. So first we're going to go to program files 86. Now you're going to see a lot of this stuff, and this is where people tend to get frustrated, is trying to sift through all of this because there's things they don't recognize. Another tip I'm going to give you, like I said, it's going to get easier once you've done this a couple times. You know the things you need and know the things you don't need. Primarily, anything with Windows in it, you don't want to delete. That's more than likely going to be important and essential to your computer. As far as everything else goes, this is again where you have to read, and you just simply have to study these things. Like, what's a good example here? I have a Google Elgato. Elgato isn't actually the direct name of the program that I'm using. The program has a different name, so you usually have to go in here and find the program, and there is video capture filter properties. That's actually the name of the program that I'm using. When you go to click on it, it doesn't say Elgato directly on it, so that's actually just the name of the company. Same thing for Google, but usually you don't want to delete your Google stuff, especially if you use Google Chrome or Google Drive. You don't want to delete anything related to Google. That's another essential on here. Microsoft. You usually don't want to delete Microsoft products. A lot of times that involves your operating system or Microsoft Office or other Office related programs, so you don't want to usually delete anything with Microsoft or Windows on it. But aside from that, if you have any foreign programs or things that are vastly different, it's not related to the developer or the publisher or the company of programs that you use, or it's just a completely different name. There are things I've seen that say not a virus, that kind of stuff that doesn't relate to what you use in your daily computer life or relate to the system. is stuff you want to get rid of. And real quick, since I don't actually use a lot of Microsoft products, or any for that matter, aside from the Windows operating system and the store apps, obviously, um, a very good way to tell what by default you should have on a Windows 10 machine for this stuff, unless you have a Lenovo or a Dell or an HP, you might have some Lenovo, Dell, or HP files in here for your laptops that are essential for functionality. Like those kinds of things that are related to the actual functionality of your computer you don't want to get rid of. For desktops, this is a very nice rule of thumb for those of you that are just using basic desktops that aren't company related or still have company software on them. All of my Windows stuff here is here by default, and all of my Microsoft stuff here is here by default. So that's a very good way for you guys to rule of thumb if you're trying to think things that you shouldn't be deleting. Those things right there are things you should not be deleting. NVIDIA Corporation, that's my graphics drivers. For other ones, you might see AMD, like I said, or AMD Catalyst. You don't want to delete that stuff. And some of you might have a really large, extensive list here, and this could require a lot more work. But either way, this is the best way to go about properly cleaning your computer and making sure that you don't have things in there that you don't want in there or don't need in there. And we're going to go back to local disk, and if you've been sifting through this long enough, if you try and hit this back button, it's actually going to bring you continuously back through the files that you look for, so it won't bring you back here right away. So if you've been looking through these files and trying to figure out what you have and what you should delete, you hit that back button, it's going to bring you back through everything. So a quick way to go back is we're going to go to the top here where it says this PC, local disk, and program files, and we're going to click on local disk. And then from program files 86, which is the one we were just working with, we're going to go to the regular program files, and you're going to do the exact same thing that you just did in that last folder in this folder. Now, the last folder, the last part of your computer you want to look through is something called the app data folder. This is where a lot more important things are, where crash reports are saved for the computer, but it's also a lot easier to distinguish things, distinguish from programs and essentials here, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about in a second. So what you want to do is you want to go down to the left here where it says type to search. You're going to type in %, which would be shift 5 for me, and you're going to type in app data, and then shift 5 to get that % again. And then go ahead and hit enter or go up and click on where it says app data. And it's going to bring you to this folder here. Now this is one of the ones that we're going to be looking for, but the exact same thing that you did in the program files folder and the exact same thing that you did in the other program files folder and local disk, you're going to do in this folder as well, because these folders are is the app data, the program files, and the program files 86 are where a majority of your program settings, software coding, and whatever execution files they need to run. That's where all of those stuff gets saved, and it's never really deleted even when you uninstall it. There's always residuals, and you need to cover all 3 of those folders and all 3 of those bases to make sure you actually delete what you deleted, or what you thought you deleted anyway. So just going through this real quick, this is one of them. This is the app data folder. This is the roaming section. But to go see the other ones, we're going to go up to the top here where it says local disk users, Bill, app data, and roaming. Bill is my username. So where you see Bill here on my screen, you're going to see whatever your username is. If it's user, owner, administrator, Sherry, whatever it's going to be, this is irrelevant. It's just the name of your computer. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to app data. And that's going to bring up the folder we were just in. It's highlighted roaming. And then we're going to check these other two, the local low and the local. So the local low, it's going to be it's always a little bit smaller folder. It's just a little bit it's a different section for storage for some primary programs. And we're going to go back again. We're going to go to the local folder. We're going to do the same thing and sift through this and delete things that you just think you deleted. And go through the same exact process you've been going through to get rid of programs that you don't want on your computer. I know there's a couple programs that actually hide in the app data folder, so for some of you it might be essential to look through this, but if it's starting to get a little complicated, you can skip this part. But with some programs I've noticed they will still be able to run, and they will still run on the startup of your computer because they're actually installed in app data. So for some of you it might be essential to go through this. But once you're done with that, you've done your due diligence, you've done your reading, you've gone through and you've been deleting all of this stuff, you probably have a fairly full recycle bin that'll look a little bit something like this. And you'll know you have stuff in your recycle bin because it actually looks empty. Right now it looks full because it's only got a couple things in here. I got an old recording and a picture of that I took a CCleaner, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that, and now it looks empty, just so you could see the difference visually if it matters. But next, And to wrap all this up and bring everything that we're doing together to make sure we have a very thorough cleaning of the machine and the operating system, we're going to go through and we're going to go back to CCleaner. And then where we were left off in Tools, we're going to go up to where it says Cleaner. And you're going to change these settings a little bit. You can check everything in System. You might get some warnings. Don't worry, it's safe. It's not going to harm any of your personal data. So don't worry about unchecking everything in System. But what you might want to do, because I know it's hard for some people to remember certain passwords and they have it saved on the computer. So before you do this, you might want to go through some of these programs here in the Windows section here, and you might want to uncheck where it says saved form. Yeah, it gives you a little bit warning you will lose any saved passwords. So if you save your passwords on your computer and you don't remember them, you might want to uncheck them. Of course, I don't recommend saving your passwords on your computer because the second somebody gets access, then they have those passwords. So I don't recommend saving passwords on your computer. But if it's something that you struggle with and you have a hard time remembering passwords, make sure that before you hit this run cleaner option that you uncheck the autocomplete, uncheck the saved form information, uncheck saved passwords, and uncheck network passwords. What network passwords is if you're connected to Wi-Fi or if you have a passworded network over a router, you just want to uncheck network passwords. So then we're going to go up to applications. It's a similar screen, except the application sections is third-party programs installed and not Microsoft-related programs, which all 4 of these are. So we're going to go over to where it says applications, and if you use Google Chrome, you want to make sure you, again, same thing, uncheck save form information, uncheck saved passwords. If you have a hard time remembering your passwords. If you don't, I recommend going through this process and actually deleting everything so you have a real clean slate. And just to explain what CCleaner actually does, it's going to go through and delete all of your internet history, all of the residuals from downloads in the past, all residuals left over from everything that we just deleted, so it'll actually clean up your recycle bin for you. And it'll go through and delete the shortcuts that were created or that are no longer have destinations for all the programs that we just went through and deleted. So it really wraps all of the work that you just put in together without you having another 10 steps to go through to clean your computer. Because normally, without a program like this, it would probably take another hour to go through the process. But this program will save you a lot of time. And like I said, it's 100% free. So once you've done this and you've changed the settings, just go ahead and hit Run Cleaner. And it's that simple. It's going to go through. For some of you that haven't had your computer service in a long time, this could take upwards. I've seen it take 30, 45 minutes in some cases. But normally it should take probably about 10, maybe 15 minutes for a computer that hasn't been serviced over extended period of times for like a couple years or so. So once you've done this, then we're going to go over to the registry. And this one's very simple. There's nothing you have to change here. By default, just go ahead and hit scan for issues. It'll scan and go through and find all the registry information that you just deleted. I don't have any registry problems. It'll go through and find all the information for stuff that we just deleted. And then once you've done that, you're gonna go over here and hit fix selected issues. And it's gonna ask you if you want to save something. But I wanna actually demonstrate this to you. So let me see if there's a program I can uninstall here. Let's see, what can we get rid of? What can we get rid of right off the bat? Let's get rid of WinRAR. I haven't used WinRAR in a long time, and I have another zip folder. So, all right. So then once we've deleted that, we should have a registry error pop up for the program that's left stuff behind. And of course we do. We have stuff left over behind from WinRAR. So once you hit scan for issues, fix selected issues. Do you want to back up changes to the registry? Go ahead and hit no. Like I said, I've been using this program for a very long time, and I've never had any issues from it. And that's it. That's pretty much everything there is to getting your computer clean. The last thing I do is recommend you go to the Start menu, go to your Power, and restart your computer, just to save all the changes that we just made and make sure nothing reinstalls itself. And then once you've done that, everything should be okay. That's the process you go through for cleaning. If you have any other issues, or if there's a reason why you came to this video and came to clean your computer rather than just for regular maintenance, you might have another underlying issue that's causing you problems. It could be a virus, it could be a hard drive issue. There's a number of things it could be if you came to clean your computer because you're having problems rather than just it being generally slow. So that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, feel free to message me and I'll answer your questions best I can. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.